Okay.
You have time to eat and talk later. Okay, so Avraham Biran, when he looked at an aerial photograph of Tel Dan, he noticed that on one of the ramparts, from the inside, there's a building on it. He saw that it's much larger in length. And he understood that there's a building sitting on the rampart itself. And he came to dig up here, and he thought that it's an important building if it's leaning on the rampart itself. And when he came to dig up this place, he found one of his most important discoveries in Tel Dan, and that is the whole place that you are now called the cultic site. Everything that they don't know what was used for, it was cultic, but this is really cultic. Meaning here, they really, you can see things that are connected to idol worshipping in many ways. So what did they find here? They found here an altar, and you can see it right here. What they really did find was this huge horn from stone. It's in the size of that horn there in metal. Okay, but
where is it
you
now?
see it. It's now in the Hebrew Union College in Jerusalem, in the museum.
Where?
In the Hebrew Union College in Jerusalem. And you can see that this is just the upper part, right, of an altar that was here for horned altar. Okay, and this is just one of them. Again, it's that size. Okay, they replicate it in iron here, so you can see the size of the horn that they found. Now they know there was an altar here. You are sitting on original steps that went up to a very flat plateau that most probably had the idol that they sacrificed the things on the altar. So you're really in a very interesting. Well, in a second we'll ask which idol. In a second we'll talk about it. Okay. So, what he found was an altar, and then he found the bama behind you. Okay, the bama behind you, and that's how it's called in the Bible, bama. And when we open up the book of Kings, and I'm going down the line, so not iron 1, but iron 2 or iron B. I don't know how you call it in school. So iron 2, the time of the Israelite kingdoms, we know of the split between the north and the south, the Judean kingdom and the northern kingdom. The northern kingdom by Jeroboam ben Nevat, the son of Nevat, who was the king up here in the north. And he decided to do 3 major reforms in the religion of the Israelites. One of them would be to change the holy place, and he built 2 external places for Jerusalem. One would have been up here in Dan, and the other one would have been down in Bethel. The second thing that he did was to let everybody participate in the worshipping, meaning until then only the priests from the tribe of Levite could be part of the people who are doing things in the cultic areas, in the temples. From then onwards, everybody could have done it. Everybody could participate to be part of the cultic rituals. Third thing, he changed the calendar. If you want, I have a whole lecture about how did he change the calendar, what does that mean, okay? But that's the third big reform. It is said that when he built Dan and Bethel as replacements for the temple in Jerusalem, he built a golden calf, okay, on the bama, and then he will come and sacrifices on the altar. And when Avram Biran found this place, he immediately said, bingo, have an altar, I have a bama. What was he missing? The golden calf. But you for sure not going to find it, because the first thing somebody was going to do when he comes along to capture the city is to take the golden calf back home, okay? So for sure, you wouldn't find the golden calf. I can tell you that later on he found out that there's 3 different altars and 3 different beamers from 3 different segments of time. So the first one is from the 10th century BC, the time of Yerovam. The second one is from the time of Ahab, 9th century. And the third one is from the time of a guy called Yerovam ben Nevat, the end of, it's the 8th century. So 10th century, 9th century, and 8th century. And you can see that inside there's another smaller rectangular and those are the smaller altars. So it started as a smaller altar, and then it expanded. So every century they expanded the altars. So you can see it's like a, babushka or matryoshka.
Yeah.
Dolls that come, right? So it's the same idea, right? So it's a small altar in a medium altar in a huge altar. It's just covering all of that. The same way is the bama behind you. If you're asking me which stories people would know, at least Protestants, that is the story of Jeroboam, of reforms in Judaism. Very, very important for Protestants, that part in history. That other people wanted before Jesus to do what? Reforms. They just went to the wrong reforms. But Reformation in Judaism is a very thing that's already happening in the Old Testament. So they will know the story. If you're asking me why this place was important, not the altar, not the bima, not the steps that are 2,700 years old, okay, but an inscription that was found here in 2 languages. And the first language that you see on top is, of course, Greek. So it's not from the Iron Age time, it's from the Greek time. Here I'm going down the scale, down the chronological order, in the Greek period of time. Underneath here, there's Aramaic. Okay, so Aramaic and Greek, 2 languages. This cultic area continued to prosper even after the town was destroyed, when the Assyrians in the 8th century came and conquered the city of Dan in the year 732. This cultic site continued, and it was in Hellenistic times a cultic site as a round pool of water in front there behind. When we go, you can see it. That is Hellenistic. And this inscription is the most important inscription. And why? Because it says both in Greek and in Aramaic. Zileos, that's the name of a person, Zileos. Nadar, gave as a donation. La'el Asher Bedan, to the God that resides in Dan. And in Greek, you can see the word Dan, D-A-N. Can you see? D-A-N. Okay? D-A-N. You can see the Dan. And why is this so important to me? Because what does this give me?
Reference.
An inscription. A reference is already there. The inscription with the name of the place. So Zileos gave a donation to the God in Dan, and this was found here. Okay? So I know that I'm in biblical Dan, and this is quite nice. Okay? Any questions about what we found here? So just to summarize this up, you have a cultic site, 10th century, then 9th century, enlarging it, then 8th century, enlarging it even more, even adding those rooms on the sides there, okay, when they found coal holders, machtot, mashenika, machtot, coal holders from bronze. They found them in those rooms on the sides, meaning there were priests all around this cultic area. The city was destroyed in the 8th century, but the cultic site continued to prosper into the Hellenistic period. I can tell that in Roman and Byzantine, it's most probably not already a cultic site. It became something very, very small. We see a farm coming up here, using the water that was here and use this area to be farmed. And this place is going to decay and be lost in history. Only the name is going to be left. Lidani and Tel Kadi. Yes.
One question: we got the horns on the altar or the kolonot. Yeah. Is that a feature of Israelite altars? Is there any tradition amongst idolaters or Canaanites?
So the Israelites were trying. First of all, we see it in many. The Philistines have kranot. Sometimes they have 2 and not 4. But there's kranot in many. This area has a lot of those. Okay. So
pagan.
The horns. So yeah, pagan as well. Not only Jews and Israelites. Now a second. The horns shows you that at least 4 horns that they're trying to imitate the altar in Jerusalem. Now, there's things here that do not work by halacha in Jerusalem. As an example, they have stairs going up the altar and not a ramp like used to be in the temple. So on one thing, they are similar to Jerusalem. On others, they're not. As an example, when they check up the bones of animals that was Oh, most of them were kosher.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a small part, mostly from the Hellenistic period. Most of them were kosher. So that shows you that in some parts they went through what you call halacha or Jewish way or Israelite way, and on others they decided to divert and go their own way. As an example, a golden calf. That doesn't work in Jerusalem in any way.
But scholars believe this is a Jewish site.
This wall here is dating from when? What
No, so this is, as I said, they enlarged and enlarged. This wall is most probably from the second stage of Ahab. As I said, the three stages here. Again, enlarging the altar again and again and again, the same way as they enlarged the bima.
And this would have been an enclosed room. Like what
No, this is all outside. So again, this is an altar outside. That will be a bima outside, and you'll have rooms on the surrounding areas where you want things
Like
inside.
would this have been a tall walls?
Yeah, so this has been walls like this so you can see what's going on
you
the
wouldn't be able
altar,
to see
but you
from
wouldn't able to come close.
Okay.
That's the idea of the walls themselves. Any other questions? There's another group, so we'll move on to our last place here. Look at the steps going up here. Look.